Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of Interplanetary I Spy going on here. Now, today, I've got something very specific for you today. Very specific indeed. Now, I've been doing sculpture and art for many years, most of my life, adult life in fact, since I was probably a kid. And as you can see, I've got pictures up here. I've got this is Zombie Cobain up here, that's Kurt Cobain as a zombie. There's also another skull picture up there, and I've got a skull. There's a sculpture on the door there with a sort of weird skull with spiky bits on. That's made of clay, and that's stuck to a sort of tray and stuff hung up. That's like a sculpture. And I've also got other things here which I'm going to show you. Now, this is the image here. Now, this is from Sol 1292. Here's the page from NASA, and you can see the object up in the top corner right here. And what I did is I took a clip of it, and I've got it right here in this folder ready. Here's the raw image. Is it going to open? Yes, thank you. Now, as you can see, it's a blurred, bad quality image. Now, this is a very small object. This is only a few inches long at most. I estimate it to be about 3 inches long. Okay? So this handle's about 2 inches, and that's about another inch on the end there. Okay? And I've done some very basic enhancements. I've colour corrected it and brightened it there, and I've done a similar thing there, and here I've just selected it and done a similar thing. Okay? And you can see very specifically that this has a handle and a kind of blade-like structure on the end of it. Okay? It looks metallic, it's pitted, this may well be some kind of metal, not sure what type, don't really know. This is on Mars. When I actually initially saw this thing, I immediately recognised it as a tool, and started digging around in my office, which I'm in now, in my studio, and managed to dig up some of my own tools, which are very, very similar indeed. And I took some photos of them here. Here we are. Now, this is a set of clay modelling tools here, various shapes and sizes. These are plastic cheapo ones on the right here. These are the more expensive wooden ones in the middle here. And they come in, they're all about 7 inches long, and they have different blades. Some are very pointed, some are very rounded, some have teeth, some are very flat, some are very rounded like this one that has a sort of nodule on the end. And they're similar in size to a toothbrush. And these are specifically designed for modelling in clay, which there is in this picture here. You can see a bag, there's a bag of clay here. Now, I think what we have on Mars here is a clay modelling tool very much like one of those I've just showed you. And in fact, I've got some here. Now, these are very specific. This one's got a very pointed end here. You can see that, very pointed. You turn it around the other way, it's got a sort of flat, curved sort of blade to it there. There's this one, which I showed you. These are in that photograph. This one's got teeth on the end. I don't know if that's in focus there. And on the other end, it's got a sort of rounded bit. I mean, this is the most similar one, the one with the sort of bent over end. Now, these are specifically designed for making holes and interesting shapes in clay. Now, to demonstrate that, I've got one of the things I've made from clay here, and this is a little skull I made. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Let's get it around the right way. Okay, there we are. Now, these specific tools are for making these sort of holes when doing eye sockets and nasal cavities there. And what you then do is you turn it round and use the blade end on the other side of or the other end of the tool to do the teeth detail here, to get these fine little details in between the teeth, gaps and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what these are for. They're very specifically designed, especially these ones that are curved over on the end, like this one, are very specifically designed to go into something, i.e. when making an eye socket shape or a nasal cavity or into a mouth or teeth detail. Okay, that is what they're for, and that is what we are looking at here. This is why it kind of resembles a toothbrush without any bristles on, because it's designed to go into your mouth or into a hole, an orifice, to hollow it out and make a more accurate, specific shape, like you would get if you were making a model skull like this. Okay. So, what else can I say? There is also this thing. Now, this thing here is from Sol 1298. So this image was taken 6 days later. I'll show you the enhancement of it here. Now, this looks also like one of these tools that's broken off here. And this looks almost like one of these end pieces, like a drill. Some of them are shaped like drills, some of them are rounded, some of them are pointed. Now, I would expect if you were to find one of these things, like this one, that there would be others nearby, because basically sculptors' tools are usually come in sets of like 6 or 8 or 10 or something like that. Okay? And now this thing here may not be anything to do with it, maybe something completely different, but it looks to me like this may be another one. So we have a set of 2 here perhaps, but this one's snapped off here. This would have been a longer handle, it probably would have come out to about this long. So this is only about 1.5 inches long, whereas this thing here is about 3 inches long, 2.5 to 3 inches, possibly a little bit longer. I can't tell you exactly. I know roughly how far away it is from the Rover, because the Rover is looking right at the ground in front of it, which is about 8 feet away from the camera. Okay, so you can determine from that this is a very small object, and this also dictates to me that the person, the artist who was using this on Mars to sculpt various things, I've found many sculptures and things that look like carved stone heads and statues and that kind of thing. Other people are starting to find them as well. Other people have found them, not just me. In fact, if you look at my playlist, you will see dozens and dozens of items of sculpture, like statues and that kind of thing. Now, were these made of clay? Some of them may well have been. It's a lot easier to make something out of clay than it is to actually carve into stone, because clay is a lot more malleable. And in fact, this very area of Mars, there's a lot of clay deposits in this particular area. So the artist may have actually got the clay from this ground here, right in front of us, just here, because this basically, a lot of this stuff is clay, natural clay that's now dried out in the lake bed that was in Gale Crater. So there we have it. I'll show you some close-ups of those again before we go. Hang on a minute, let's get this folder up. Right, we've got that one there. Now this one is the one from 6 days later, which is broken. Now this may not be a tool, I don't know, because it seems like there's only half of it here, but it may be part of the same set. It's hard to say, but it's very similar in size, and it could perform a similar function. And here we have my set again, and you can see that these come in all shapes and sizes. Now these are about 7 inches long. The one on Mars that I just showed you is only about 3 inches long, and the broken one's even smaller. It's only about 2 or 1.5 inches long. So whoever owned these tools, or whoever used them, was probably only about 2 foot tall, about a third of my size. I'm about 5'9". I'm estimating that the artist that owned and used this tool, specifically this one, was only about 2 foot tall, because this is only about 2 to 3 inches long. So there we have it, folks. Is this proof of art and artists on the surface of Mars and Gale Crater? Maybe not. A lot of people will say it's just a rock, but it pretty obviously is not just a rock to me. I mean, this is a tool, and it's been shaped. It looks like it has function. It is almost in perfect condition. It may have been there for many thousands of years, covered up in sand. It may have only been recently exposed by the wind or something. I'd imagine this is made of metal. So there we have it, folks. Is this proof of art on Mars and artists like myself, miniature versions of me up there, playing around with clay and making objects? This is a very specific tool, and as I said before, these are designed to go into things. In other words, it's almost like a dentist tool. You would use it very specifically for getting inside of the clay and hollowing stuff out to make these interesting and intricate shapes. Okay, so I've been doing sculpture now for many, many years, since I was a kid. In fact, I probably started playing around with plasticine and clay when I was only about 2 or 3 years old. My parents always had a huge bag of clay in the corner of the house, at the back of the house, and I was encouraged to play with it from a very early age. In fact, my father, Mr. White, Steve White, was a pottery teacher and art teacher for many, many years. So we always had this stuff lying around, and it's a nice medium to work in. if you've ever done it. If you haven't done it, I do recommend it. It's very rewarding, very therapeutic, and you could get stuff now you just bake in the oven, or you could just leave it to dry on the windowsill, you know. So yeah, it's really cool stuff. And this area is surrounded in clay. There are clay deposits all over this part of Gale Crater. The artist may have been getting the clay from this very area we're looking at right now. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.